brought to you by Brand South Africa.
Continuing with our coverage of the 2012 WEF Africa in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Godfrey Mutizwa spoke to the Finance Minister of Mauritius, Pranab Mukherjee, on what the country's growth prospects for 2012 are amid the European crisis.
We are very dependent on Europe. 65% of our export earnings, and the same sort of percentage in terms of FDI comes from Europe. So we are very dependent. But at the same time, Mauritius, as in the past, is showing a lot of resilience. This year, we expect our growth in our country to be around 3.6 to 3.9%, which is fantastic. How we've been able to do that is by diversifying the economy, not only in terms of the types of sectors in the economy, but also now more and more in terms of geography. Right. We are targeting much more Africa, we are targeting China, we're targeting India, Asia, and this is having the desired results and is in fact protecting the country from the worst of the crisis.
Sure. So Minister, when you give a band, it suggests to me that there is an uncertainty, if you like, about the extent of the growth that you're seeing within the Mauritian economy. So what measures are you taking to try and make sure that the economy grows, and what's the target? Where would you rather be growing really?
Firstly, we're encouraging our private sector to look at the long term and to invest. Secondly, we are encouraging also the country as a whole, the private sector particularly, to diversify in terms of geography. Our textiles now is being exported to Africa, especially South Africa. Tourists are coming more and more from China, from India, so we are diversifying, also diversifying in terms of searching for FDI. Where is our FDI coming from? And that also we are diversifying. The second thing, the government has created a resilience fund. Quite a lot of money for the size of Mauritius, about $200 million US, a little bit more than that. And that resilience fund is there to help our enterprises who may have transitional problems during the crisis.
Do you see the potential for Mauritius to perhaps go to the IMF and the World Bank perhaps for assistance in terms of at least mitigating some of the impact that's coming out of Europe?
We have some standby loans, especially with the African Development Bank, not with the IMF at the moment. But so just to finish on that point was that we do also have a very large public investment program which we hope will help to stimulate the economy this year. So all in all, we are not too worried about this year. We're going to have probably a growth rate that may be the envy of many other countries in the world for this year.
Okay, so you're not going to the IMF?
We're not going to the IMF for a loan, no.
Okay, which is a very different story. So let's talk about then perhaps some of the issues that Mauritius is facing. And we know that Mauritius, like other African countries, has seen a lot of volatility in its currency because of the global economic environment where you've got a lot of money swishing around the system. From a government standpoint, do you see the need for the government of Mauritius to intervene in the foreign currency market? Now,
what we have seen, obviously, as probably most countries, is the fall in the value of the euro affecting receipts for our exporting companies. That is having an effect on their liquidity. However, the currency is under the independent control of the Bank of Mauritius. Now, we've seen recently a drop in our policy rate, which has actually given some help to companies which owe a lot of money.
Sure.
So that is helping.
Are you happy though with the valuation?
Well, that's a difficult question. I'm not really authorized to speak about it very much. But let's say that we are happy with the drop in the policy rate. We would ideally see the exchange rate with the euro be re-established to what it was previously.
Okay, let's move on to trade with Africa. Now, of course, we know that while everyone else around us, excluding, of course, the Asia countries, Africa has been growing extremely well. We're looking at average growth of about 6%. Trade between Mauritius and Africa has been growing in recent years. Are there any other parts of Africa that you're targeting apart from your traditional markets? Because we do know that new champions have come into Africa, your Nigerias, your Angolas, and now, of course, Ethiopia here where we are.
We are very positive about Africa. We are very positive about the way that the economic governance of Africa and generally the political governance of Africa is going. And we believe in the future of Africa. And we believe that we're very fortunate to be geographically part of Africa and politically part of Africa. So all this is very positive for us. We see ourselves trading much more in terms of sourcing from Africa and also
regions.
Generally, obviously, it will be sub-Saharan Africa and it will be Eastern and Southern Africa, because that is geographically much nearer to us. So that is trade we see growing very much, selling to Africa and buying from Africa. But we see Mauritius also being a bit of the Hong Kong of Africa in being a financial services center that can help, that can be the conduit to investment into Africa and can give value added to any person, wherever he is in the world, who wants to invest in Africa. We see Mauritius playing this major role of helping and providing value-added services to investors, and this is a major policy of Mauritius these days.
A big theme that's around here at WEF is the whole issue around transformation of Africa's economies and also integrating African economies. So we do here talk about creating a free trade area across Africa. Of course, Mauritius, I know, is part of all those efforts. Yeah. But do you think we've got the institutions to make that growth a reality?
I think what we need is a motivation first. I mean, African governments and African private sector need to see the need for that. And that's what we need to work with, whether it's for trade, whether it's labor mobility. This is a question of motivation, first of all. Then comes the question of how do we get about it? How do we bring down the trade barriers? How do we enforce these issues? And we see that it is still very regrettable that there's so little intra-African trade. The potential is huge. The future belongs to us, belongs to Africans, and we must make this happen.